Welcome to Steamboat Kids. We are so excited that you're here as we continue to focus on our life app of faith. Faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. It's kind of like the wind. We can see what the wind does, and we can see the branches on trees moving, kind of like left and right. And we can feel wind on our faces when we stand, kind of like this. Whoa. That was intense. We can sometimes even hear the wind, but we can't see it. We know it's there because we can see what it does. Faith works in the same way. We can't see God, but when we take a closer look, we can see the things that God has created. We can see what God has done in people's lives all throughout history, and we can even see what He's doing in our lives today.
He's moving in my life today, and that makes me want to move for Him. So get on your feet and let's sing for God right now.
This is no performance, Lord, I pray it's worship. Empty words I can't afford. I'm not chasing feelings, that's not why I'm singing. You're the reason for my song. Put every voice. And I only wanna sing if I sing with everything. If I sing for you, my King. Oh, I can't imagine why I would do this all for high, 'cause it's all to lift you high. Come on. Whoa. You don't want perfection, just my soul's attention. All I have is what I'll give. And more than a song that lasts a moment, I live a life of honest worship. If I'm here to sing, then I sing with purpose. All the praise, Lord, you deserve it now. I only wanna sing if I sing with everything. If I sing for you, my King. Come on, lift your voice. And I can't imagine why I would do this all for high, 'cause it's all to lift you high. Whoa. I wanna see the whole room jump. In 1, 2, in 1, 2, 3, go. I only wanna sing if I sing with everything. If I sing for you, my King.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Guys, I love singing and dancing with you. Today, we get to talk about a really important person who actually wrote most of what we call the New Testament in the Bible. You might know him by the name of Paul, but he also went by the name of Saul. We'll call him Saul for today. For Saul, his faith was so important, but Jesus was changing the way everyone thought about God, and Saul found himself right in the middle of it. He watched as more and more people started to believe that Jesus really is the Son of God. Can you see how Jesus changed Saul's life? Let's look.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. the epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. Now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Acts, chapter 9, verses 1 through 9.
If anyone was set up for the good life, it was Saul of Tarsus.
Greetings.
Though Saul's family was Jewish, he was also born a Roman citizen. Throughout his life, he was known by 2 different names.
You may call me Saul or Paul.
As a young man, Saul was sent to Jerusalem to study with the famous Rabbi Gamaliel.
Let's see. You have achieved 100% in classical literature, 111% in philosophy, and in ethics, 99%.
I vow to do better.
Saul became a Pharisee like his father before him. He carefully studied God's law and prayed 3 times a day.
Dear God, help me follow your laws 100% perfectly.
Like the other religious leaders in Jerusalem, though, Saul was caught off guard by the events that surrounded the life and death of Jesus.
Good riddance. Now that fool can't try to overturn God's laws anymore.
Haven't you heard? Jesus' follower says he's returned to life.
They've seen Jesus?
They've seen Jesus.
Those riffraff will slink away soon enough.
Against all odds, the followers of Jesus didn't fade away. In fact, the numbers began to grow.
5,000? You're telling me that 5,000 people are following the way of a dead man?
Well, technically, they think he's alive.
Not helping.
The religious leaders in Jerusalem did everything they could to squash the new movement. They even arrested a leader among the Jesus followers named Stephen. After telling lies about him, they dragged him outside the city.
This man is a disgrace.
Saul stood by and held the coats of the men who picked up stones and threw them at Stephen until they killed him.
If Stephen had just let go of this Jesus nonsense, he wouldn't have had to die.
It's terrible. I heard people are following the way of Jesus in other cities too.
What? Inconceivable.
Saul quickly became known for hunting down people who believed in Jesus. When he discovered that some Jews in Damascus were following Jesus, he went straight to the high priest.
This Jesus thing is spreading everywhere.
I'm aware.
They think he's alive.
Hashtag yup.
Someone should do something.
I hope you have something constructive to say.
Give me letters to the synagogues in Damascus so I can arrest all the believers and bring them back here.
Now you're talking.
Saul set off for Damascus with the blessing of the high priest. He traveled with a group of men to arrest the believers they found. After days on the road, they neared the city.
There it is.
We'll make it by lunch.
No, we must take time to pray.
As he did 3 times every day, Saul stopped and turned to Jerusalem to pray, certain God was on his side.
Dear Lord, help me to catch every single one of those despicable Jesus people.
Suddenly, a light more brilliant than the midday sun blazed down around Saul. He staggered, fell to the ground, squeezing his eyes shut against the glare.
Saul, why are you opposing me?
Saul gasped. It felt as though the whole earth shifted beneath him.
Who are you, Lord? I am Jesus. I am the one you are opposing.
The men around Saul stared in horror and confusion, unable to speak. They could see no one, but heard a sound, perhaps like a roar of thunder.
Now get up and go into the city. There you will be told what you must do.
Saul reeled. He struggled to his feet and finally opened his eyes. He saw nothing, only darkness.
What's happened?
You tell us. We saw the light, and you fell, and this sound, and then you said...
I can't see.
What?
I can't see. I've been blinded.
That's not good. Here, take my hand.
Saul grasped the man's hand and shuffled a few steps forward.
Who are you talking to?
I think it was Jesus.
You heard Jesus?
I heard Jesus.
Saul's companions led him into Damascus, where he stayed at the home of a man named Judas on Straight Street.
Want something to eat?
I'm not hungry.
Or water?
Not thirsty.
For 3 days, Saul wrestled with himself and God. He'd come face to face with the very man he knew was dead, but discovered that Jesus was very much alive. Now blind, Saul was forced to see everything in a brand new light.
Saul couldn't deny it. He had a direct encounter with Jesus. He had seen for himself that Jesus is very much alive. Could it be that everything Jesus' followers believed in was actually true? Was Jesus actually the Son of God? Had Saul been wrong about him this whole time? Saul's life dramatically changed that day. Even though he was now physically blind, he was able to see everything in a completely new way, all because of Jesus. Knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. Everything that Saul thought he knew about Jesus changed that day. He would never be the same.
Inspector Clouseau back on the case. And you know what? I kind of relate to Saul and God changing his name to Paul, because before I was Inspector Clouseau, they just called me Clue. That's why I'm an inspector today. And you know what? I also relate to him because he found a clue. He found the only clue, and it was Jesus. It changed where he was going. It changed his whole direction in life. And I'm the same way when I am on a case and I come across a new clue. It changes my direction because I want to go the right way to solve the case and to do the right thing. And that is exactly what we can do when we find the clue of Jesus. It can change everything. And so when we focus on him, it changes everything. That might have been a clue in itself. I hope to see it today, Sunday, at the scavenger hunt. Might have been a clue. Look out.
Everything changed for Saul when he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. It's really true that God can change the way we see him and the way we see the world around us too. God helped Saul see the truth in a pretty dramatic way. God can open our eyes too in a lot of different ways. Knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. If you think about it, God has been helping people see him all throughout his story. From the very beginning, he's been helping people see the world in a new way. A way that would allow them to make the wise choice. A way that would help them treat others the way they wanted to be treated. He's been helping people understand who he is and what his purpose in their life might be. It's still true today. God might not show himself in a blinding light, but there's still a lot of times that we can learn something new about him. Sometimes God can speak to you through something that you experience. Like when you listen to a song and it reminds you how much he loves you. Or when you spend time in nature and you see what a beautiful creation he's made. But his creation is also your family. When you see them love, show patience, and show kindness, you see true parts of who God is. So let's look for ways that we can keep focusing on Jesus. Let's take a closer look and see how we can discover new things about him every day. One great way you can do that is to talk about him with your friends.
You know, sometimes Inspector Clouseau needs some friends to help him solve a case. So I brought my friend Rachel in to help me find some faith. But I have an idea of where it is. Right in here.
You're not gonna find it there, Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, not that high. I didn't think so either. Not that high. A little lower.
No, you're not gonna find it there either. And actually, I have a story about how maybe I can help you find faith.
Well, tell me.
All right, well, it just reminds me of a story, a time whenever my son Breck was learning to ride his bike. And he was so nervous. He hadn't had any pedals on before, and now we were putting these pedals on. And he wasn't sure that he could do it, but we knew he could do it. And he had mom and dad on either side of that bike, and he looked at us and we told him, Breck, you can do it. And he got on that pedal bike and he rode down the street knowing that his mom and dad were right next to us, just like God is right next to us every day.
You know what, Rachel, that is very true. sometimes we can't see that mom or dad is going to catch us, but they're on our right and our left. And that's the same way God is, I think. We just got to go for it sometimes, and if we fail, He will be with us. You know, that's how faith is. It's something you can't see, but we just got to go for it sometimes. Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Parents, Steamboat Kids is having an amazing race for you and your child on Sunday, June 14th, from 1 to 2:30 p.m. This hunt will make your child the inspector, where they're going to have to take a closer look. At what? You'll have to participate in order to solve the case and win a prize. You will need to stop by Fuzzywigs, then Whistler Park to figure out what the final destination and prize is. At each location, we will have a Steamboat Kids volunteer in their orange shirt and a challenge for you and your child to figure out. If you have any questions, please call me at the number below. And remember, join us Sunday, June 14th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. I can't wait to see your faces. And masks, of course.
I hope to see you there.